Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to look at the April 1904 General Conference. This is one of those years that you cannot find on the Scripture Citation Index. For whatever reason, I don't know if this is going to change in the future, but for whatever reason, when you go to the Scripture Citation Index, you only get General Conference talks going back to 1942, and then you have the Journal of Discourses, but there's like this big gap of time. And a few of you have sent me a couple different resources. One of them is this. It's this website called historicalgeneralconferences.weebly.com. And it goes from 1830 until present, although there is a gap here too for some reason. Let's see, 1915 to 1971. So whatever. It's more than what we had before on this channel. But I wanted to kind of go through here and kind of in a systematic way, just search these. And I'm not going to be able to find everything, I'm sure. But I put together this spreadsheet that's just meant to help me know which years I've searched for what words and terms to see if I can find anything interesting to share on the channel. And so I found something here in April 1904. It is a talk by Anthon H. Lund. He, at the time that he gave this talk, he was second counselor in the first presidency. Right here, he was in that position from 1901 to 1910. And it has to do with being caught up and the resurrection and how those two events happen at the same time. And also a couple interesting things he said about the resurrection of Christ that I hadn't heard before. So let's just go ahead and get into it. And by the way, like I always say, I like to go to the actual source if possible, so that way you know that what I'm reading is authentic. You can find this in the Church History Catalog, but it's not the easiest to read on here. At least I don't know. I'd rather just it'll be easier for me to read it from here because I have my highlights and I can't highlight on this, but I'll put the link for this in the description box below in case you want to go straight to the source. But anyway, okay, so President Anthon H. Lund, Preparation for the Advent of Christ, His Death and Resurrection, Salvation for the Dead. I greet this congregation in the name of the Lord, and I ask that I may have a share of your faith and prayers while I stand before you. I've enjoyed the remarks of our president this morning, and I believe his words have found an echo in every heart. He has portrayed unto us our mission and our duties here upon the earth, that which we are striving for, namely to serve the Lord, to carry out his purposes, and to be instruments in his hands to bring about the reign of peace, the reign of Christ here upon the earth. So he's talking about the millennium at this point. This work in which we are engaged, we have been told, and we have an assurance thereof, is the work which is to prepare men for the second coming of Christ. We believe that the time is near at hand when the prophecies concerning his coming will be fulfilled. Again, I just want to point out just kind of the disconnect. There are those that feel like the second coming is far away, but time and time again, we look to our prophets and apostles, in this case, in 1904, saying that it is soon. And I believe them. If he felt that it was soon in 1904, then here we are in 2024. I think that it's essentially imminent. I really do. So I can't go with those that think that there's so much that still has to happen. Okay, and if there is, I think that it can happen quickly. And like I've said before, I think things happen in natural ways that aren't exciting or aren't as exciting or the way that you pictured, but they still are fulfilled. But sometimes we just don't recognize it. All right, continuing. We know that before his coming, there must be a people prepared to receive him. This sentence stood out to me because it reminds me of what President Nelson said, October 2022 General Conference. Let's just read this again. I've never heard anything like this in any general conference or from any prophet. Remember, earlier in the talk, he talks about the sign of the Son of Man, that between now and the sign of the Son of Man, the Lord's going to bestow countless privileges, blessings, and miracles upon the faithful. And then toward the end of the talk, he says, As I have stated before, the gathering of Israel is the most important work taking place on the earth today. One crucial element of this gathering is preparing a people, right? Just like what President Lund just said, preparing a people who are able, ready, and worthy to receive the Lord when he comes again. A people who have already chosen Jesus Christ over this fallen world. A people who rejoice in their agency to live the higher, holier laws of Jesus Christ. I call upon you, my dear brothers and sisters, to become this righteous people. So, and I don't know, I like seeing that connection. 1904 to 2024, preparing a people to receive him. Okay, continuing. We have tried to prepare ourselves and those amongst whom we labor for this great event, and we cannot do this in any other way than the one which our president has pointed out to us. Well, I didn't see what he said in this general conference. The president at the time, I don't even know who the president was at this time, but I do know what President Nelson has told us, and it's to gather scattered Israel on both sides of the veil and also to become a Zion people. Okay, after that, he goes on and talks about the doctrine of resurrection, and then he says a couple interesting things about Christ and his resurrection. Okay, he says, after this, his spirit, referring to Christ, returned unto his body. The body was quickened and immortalized. It underwent a process of which we have no conception, but it was the same body. He visited his apostles after his resurrection. He appeared in their midst without their seeing how he came. The grosser elements of the body were no doubt eliminated, which that's just kind of an interesting sentence. That could be any number of things. One thing that we know is not going to be in a resurrected body is blood. Blood is something that pertains just to this fallen state, specifically from the time of the fall and this whole time that the world has been in a celestial state, which is going to end at the second coming. It's not just going to be resurrected bodies that no longer have blood, but also those of us that continue on into the millennium. We're going to be quickened, not resurrected. We're still going to be in mortality, but our bodies are going to be changed. There's no difference between transfigured, quickened, all that stuff. There's people that want to say that there is, but there's not. Bruce R. McConkie said as much. There's going to be a change to those in mortality, and their bodies also will be without blood. And if you want to learn more about that, I'm not just pulling that out of thin air. I've done many, many videos about it. Go to my quotes A through Z spreadsheet, and then go down to blood, which is currently on row 22, but I'm not going to read that here. Okay. Excuse me. So I would think blood and I don't know, any number of things. There's going to be a lot of changes, obviously. All right, continuing. If there had been anything corruptible in the body that was laid in the tomb, it was not incorporated in the resurrected body. Before his crucifixion, his body was subject to death, and he was killed by his enemies, but then he took his body again. All that belonged to mortality had been eliminated. And I've got questions about that. Again, because if there's no more blood, then is there a need for a heart, for a circulatory system, veins and arteries, and all the rest of it? There could be some pretty fundamental differences between a resurrected body and the type of body that we have now, including the heart, which I know that sounds strange, but unless there's some other fluid that needs to be pumped, I don't know. Why would you need a heart? Anyway, it's just speculation. We're not going to know until we know. Okay, his body was an immortal one, yet he showed himself to his disciples. He proved unto them that he was the same Jesus. There were the wounds in his hands and feet, and even in his side, a convincing proof unto his disciples of his identity, and that his body had been resurrected. I have to wonder, I don't know if you guys have any additional resources about this, but why he wasn't recognized right away. Like if you were one of them, would you have seen him and been like, well, that looks like him, but it's not him because he just died? Is that why they were confused? It seems like it was more than that. Like they actually did not recognize him. I feel like if my wife or any family member passed away and then I saw them again, I would recognize them, like with beyond the shadow of a doubt. I feel like I would be more like, you look exactly like, my wife, you look exactly like whoever, my mom, my dad. So I just have to wonder, like, maybe even for someone like Christ who lived a sinless life, the effects of this life, this environment that we live in, this telestial environment, fallen world, trauma and chaos everywhere, it definitely, I think, takes an effect and a toll on our bodies, even to, I think, our appearances in some ways. I think there's actually science behind that, but I think that our bodies, even though we don't really perceive it, because for us it's just normal, I think that our bodies really take a beating in this life. Sometimes literally, other times psychologically, emotionally, chemically, all these different things. So I just wonder, because we know that we're going to be our perfect like selves. Like it's almost like we're going to be our prime, like the best that your body could possibly be, perfectly restored, nothing missing. For a resurrected body anyway. All the hairs of your head will be there. And I have to look this up, but I think Joseph Smith had said that a resurrected body is one of the most beautiful things that you could ever see. So I think it's going to be pretty different. And it's exciting because we're about to see this pretty soon. When the second coming happens, we're going to be seeing our resurrected dead, those that come forth in the first resurrection anyway. And it's going to be pretty surreal. Okay. He continues. While upon this subject, I will read a few passages from the 88th section of the Book of Doctrine and Covenants. And there shall be silence in heaven for the space of half an hour, and immediately after shall the curtain of heaven be unfolded, as a scroll is unfolded after it is rolled up, and the face of the Lord shall be unveiled. And the saints that are upon the earth who are alive shall be quickened and be caught up to meet him. And they who have slept in their graves shall come forth, for their graves shall be open, and they also shall be caught up to meet him in the midst of the pillar of heaven. And that's a big question in my mind. What does that mean? Does that just mean the sky? Does it mean some other thing, like some craft? Like, I'm not trying to say like alien spaceship, but like some kind of platform, or what does that mean? I don't know. Continuing, they are Christ's first fruits, they who shall descend with him first, and they who are on the earth and in their graves, who are first caught up to meet him. And all this by the by the voice of the sounding of the trumpet, or the trump of the angel of God. Remember, in the scriptures, there's 4 sets of 7 trumpets. The first one is in the story of Jericho, where you had the priests that blew their trumpets, the walls fell. And I've done videos about this. I feel like that story is a foreshadowing of the second coming and the world falling, and the saints possessing the earth, just like Israel took Jericho and spoiled it and stuff. And then you have the 7 trumpets in the book of Revelation, and then in this section of the Doctrine and Covenants, section 88, you have 2 sets of trumpets, and this set has to do with the order of resurrection. Okay, and after this, another angel shall sound, which is the second trump, and then cometh the redemption of those who are Christ at his coming, who have received their part in that prison which is prepared for them, that they might receive the gospel and be judged according to men in the flesh. It's the spirit world. And again, another trumpet shall sound, which is the third trump, and then come the spirits of men who are to be judged and are found under condemnation. And these are the rest of the dead, and they live not again They live not again until the 1,000 years are ended, neither again, until the end of the earth. So like the telestials. And another trump shall sound, which is the fourth trump, saying, there are found among those who are to remain until that great and last day, even the end, who shall remain filthy still. All right, and then back to President Lund. He says, here we have, through a revelation given in 1832, a prophecy concerning the manner of the resurrection. It was given by revelation unto the prophet Joseph Smith, and it gives us a good idea concerning that great event which will take place hereafter, when Christ shall come. When Christ shall come, the saints that are upon the earth will be quickened and caught up unto him. They will not have to be laid in the grave and undergo death in the ordinary way, but all the change pertaining unto death will come unto them, even if it be, as the apostle said, in the twinkling of an eye. Just really quick, so there's no confusion. At this part, he's talking about how those that are in mortality, your body will be changed. You're still going to be in mortality, just with a millennial body, terrestrial condition body, not a glory, not terrestrial glory, terrestrial condition. The world's going to go back into its paradisiacal state. Men and beasts, they're all going to change, but you're still in mortality until you reach 100 years old. And at that point, you're changed in the twinkling of an eye. And you can find more information about that here on my quotes A through Z spreadsheet, row number 2, 100 age. And you can find all the references for that. Okay, back to this. The Lord's power will be made manifest, for he holds the keys of the resurrection. He knows all concerning our physical organization, and he is able to accomplish this great wonder of the resurrection. So when the time comes, the faithful of the saints will be quickened and caught up to meet him, and the many thousands that are coming with him. They who have slept in their graves shall come forth, for their graves shall be open, and they also shall be caught up to meet him in the midst of the pillar of heaven. Now, these are the first fruits of that resurrection, and they shall descend with Christ. They also who are on the earth shall be caught up to meet him, and all this by the voice of the trump of the angel of God. This, brethren and sisters, is something worth working for. Yeah, I'll say. And I feel like there's been a lot of warning about that. There's been a lot of talk about the kingdoms of glory between Elder Anderson, also President Oaks, and President Nelson himself, talking about these different options that we have with what we do with our lives and the consequences. And even though they haven't explicitly talked about this, like being prepared to be caught up, to be worthy of like participating in this event, it's something that we definitely want to do and that we should focus on. I tend to think that this might be what we're talking about when we talk about the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins, because Bruce R. McConkie said that parable wasn't about good versus bad. It was wise versus foolish, those that were prepared and those that weren't in the church. And we actually went over this recently so we read this. No, this is actually from Lynn G. Robbins, the June 2007 Ensign, in an article called Oil in Our Lamps. And, here he quotes Bruce R. McConkie. Elder McConkie further explains that this parable is not about good and bad, but not righteous and wicked, but wise and foolish. And then later he says, in biblical times, constant effort was needed to ensure that an adequate amount of oil was maintained in lamps. In our own day, we must exert constant effort to remain temple worthy. Right? In the parable, the virgins were not able to enter the door without oil. In our day, neither can we enter the door of the temple without a recommend. So I feel like that's really the key. As we know, all you have to do is be living a terrestrial lifestyle to move on into the millennium. But I don't think that that's going to qualify you for participating in this, being caught up to be part of this big event where Christ comes to the Jews and he comes to the world. I say the Jews because it says that in Zechariah. It says that all the saints come with him, and then it seems that they all come with him again when he shows himself to the world. Okay, so this, brethren and sisters, is something worth working for. We desire to live so that when this event shall come, whether we be on the earth or in the grave, that this sound may be heard by us, that we may come forth and join that happy throng. The Revelation goes on to describe those who shall hear the trump, but who are of a different class to that which I have referred. There will be some that did not hear the gospel on the earth, but who received their portion in the prison. We have generally thought that the doctrine of salvation for the dead was not taught until 1843, when the prophet Joseph Smith received revelations concerning work for the dead. But from the very beginning, the Lord revealed unto him that there was a possibility of salvation being obtained by those who had passed away without a knowledge of the gospel. And so we are told here of the next class, thou shalt be resurrected. And after this, another angel shall sound, which is the second trump. And then cometh the redemption of those who are Christ at his coming, who have received their part in that prison which is prepared for them, that they might receive the gospel and be judged according to men in the flesh. Again, another trump shall sound, which is the third trump, and then cometh the spirits of men who are to be judged and are found under condemnation. And these are the rest of the dead, and they live not again until the 1,000 years are ended, neither again until the end of the earth. And another trump shall sound, which is the fourth trump, saying, there are found among those who are to remain until the great and last day, even the end, who shall remain filthy still. And then President Lund says, perhaps the sons of perdition are the last class. All will be resurrected. Jesus died for us all. He became the Redeemer. He bought us for a price, and his death brought the privilege of resurrection unto every soul, whether he be a sinner or not. All will receive a share in the resurrection, not in the first resurrection, but they will be resurrected and will be brought before the bar of our Heavenly Father. Brethren and sisters, let us so live that we will know that we will be, that there will be no danger of our being in the latter classes, but that we may be among the first fruits of Christ. And I'll just end it there because he doesn't really say much after that, in regards to what we're talking about. So there you have it. Just another account. I'm probably going to save this on one of my spreadsheets. There's sometimes, like, occasionally there will be people that don't even know that this is our doctrine because, other Christian denominations focus on the rapture so much. And so it seems like it's just like a Christian idea from these other sects and denominations. But no, it is our doctrine. We don't, in our church, we don't necessarily, it's not our tradition to call it the rapture per se, but it is going to happen. As far as I can tell, the only ones that participate in that are the righteous saints that are currently on the earth, and then those that are resurrected. So I don't think that if you're living a terrestrial lifestyle, you're going to participate in that. It seems to me that you'll move on into the millennium for sure. By definition, you're terrestrial, not telestial. Telestials are the wicked, and they're destroyed. So, be part of this event. I hoped maybe that will be our meetup, you guys, for my channel. I mean, it'll be like after the main thing, but if I'm given a little time, maybe we can have a little meetup in the midst of the pillar of heaven, and that way everyone can make it, and then we can all meet each other. So yeah, this is something to look forward to and be worthy for. I hope to see you there. But that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.